because your time is important. Okay, well, ladies, it's nice to see you. Thank you for joining us tonight again on our mastermind. I am very excited and honored to actually introduce to you our 14 star diamond coach who is going to be talking to us today. Scotty Hobbs. Scotty is my neighboring coach. He lives in Idaho. You live in Idaho, right, Scotty? I know that,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
I live in Utah. He lives in Idaho, and he's actually married to a Latina.
That's
So
right.
he speaks Espanol, and that's how I met him while he was speaking at Summit back in 2019. I was super excited to get to know him, and knowing that he was married to a Latina, even better. But Scotty is an amazing coach and very humble for those of you who don't know him, which is why I asked him to talk to us today. He's very successful at what he does, and talking about Success Club and how he helps his coaches and his downline really be able to hit Success Club and drive it within their team. It's something that I want you to hear from him. So, Scotty, without further ado, it's your time.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm super excited that you guys are here today. I have to tell you part of my dream, my first dream when I got started. I'll just be real quick on my story. My dream when I started as a coach was to earn $10,000 in a year. That was it. That was the big dream. And the reason was because my wife made like $12,000 a year working at the Hilton Garden Inn at the hotel, working night shifts. And I worked 12 hours in the day from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then she would go to work from 3 p.m. to 11. So for the first 5 years of our marriage, we never saw each other. She raised the kids in the day and I raised them at night. So, I mean, if I could make $10,000, that would be like absolutely incredible to me because, she made $13,000, $14,000. And then the cost of the babysitters for all those, those shifts when she would drop them off for a couple hours. I figured if we could just get to that point, then she wouldn't have to work at nights. And I could come home from work at 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m. after driving home, sit down together as a family, eat dinner, play outside with the kids together, take walks as a family. And that was it. That was a huge vision for my life as I started coaching. But what I want to share with you guys, and I know the topic today is going to be the importance of Success Club and driving Success Club throughout your team. We're going to do a little Q&A at the end if you guys have questions about anything, but I'm going to share a lot of the successes and things that are working, but I'm also going to share with you a period of our life when that was like not happening at all. Like I was not helping any of my coaches hit Success Club, and then the reason behind that. So just like many of you guys, I started I learned about P90X. It was through a neighbor, not a Beachbody coach. He was just absolutely ripped. He was the high school strength and conditioning coach and a new neighbor. And he just met me, knocked on my door. He was actually from our church. He was something that is what was called a ward mission leader. His job was to bring people that weren't coming to church back to church. And Gabby and I didn't go to church. So I let him in just because he had some brownies. And I just remember sitting with him. He had 2 daughters at the time. I had 2 daughters at the time. We're the same age. And this guy's like jacked. He's like 6'3", 235-ish pounds of solid muscle. And I'm 189, 5'11", pure chubby. And so I just remember just asking him, like, dude, how do you look like that? Like, you look awesome. And I look like this. And he just told me, he just gave me some little piece of advice. He did what each one of us should do as coaches. He said, you should come work out with us. Like, come to the gym with us. And you can work out with the kids, you can work out with me, and we'll get you in shape. Unfortunately, they trained at 6 a.m. and I had to be to work at 5. So I just said, what, do you have anything I could do at home? And he said, you should do that P90X workout. I heard that works. So he's not even a coach. He just recommended the program. One thing to know about me is when I decide to do something, I go all in with it. And so I'm like, I'm gonna do P90X. I printed out the nutrition plan, which was like, and my job at the time was writing manuals at a service department in a steel factory. So like I made a full out binder, put the whole meal plan in there, wrote out my goals and everything. And I committed to the program in 90 days. I think another important thing to realize too, is my manager at the time, we worked in the same office. He committed to it with me. So every morning when we got to work at 5 a.m., we talked about how we'd completed our workout that morning, how sore we are. We helped hold each other accountable to not eating Gardettos and drinking Rock Stars all day. And we just began to transform like that. I lost close to 40 pounds in 90 days, and I had abs for the first time. And I was just like, I had so much, I was like running on my lunch break, and I was never a runner. Like I would do P90X at 3:30 in the morning, be at work, and I would run from like 12 to 1, jump in the little shower I had up in our offices and get back to work. So like things were changing for me. I had more energy, like I had abs for the first time, but people began to notice. I remember specifically one time at a friend's child's birthday party, we were hanging out, and they were just like, you got to see these pictures. And they were like pulling up my pictures and showing like, look at what Scotty looked like before, look what he looks like now. And so like, I fell in love with that idea of inspiring people. And I remember I had this mission companion. I learned Spanish first in Venezuela as a missionary from the age of 19 to 21. And I remember one of them on Facebook was like, one day, like, dude, you should be a personal trainer. Like if you could just find a way to get paid for that P90X thing, that would be awesome, because it's all it was in a nice way, but it's like all you talk about is P90X and running. Like it would be awesome if you got paid for that. So I put my before after pictures in the like page, P90X like page. And I instantly within a day was like, I will never, ever become a Beachbody coach. Absolutely not. Because I got about 30 messages in my inbox that were scripts like, come to this 3-way call. Hey, you should be a coach on our team. We're going to teach you how to do this. And you're going to be this diamond coach, and come up on this webinar. And like many of them were the exact same words. And I was like, oh, this is disgusting. Like, what is this? I'm never going to, whatever that is, I'm never going to do that. But that's kind of, I mean, the idea was planted in those days, like, what is this thing? But at the same time, I don't want to do that. I actually saved from my memories on Facebook. You know, I get memories on Facebook. I saved one the other day that said, if any of these coaches could actually convince me to be a Beachbody coach, I would destroy it. I don't say destroy anymore, but I was a big gamer back there. That's what we did to people when we played. But like, I was so confident in myself that if I committed to something, like I would be successful at it, but it wasn't going to be that thing, because that was disgusting to me. Like cold messaging people out of nowhere and inviting people to webinar. I didn't even know what that stuff was. So turns out, just a little backstory. Like by the way, you're going to learn that I teach through stories. So my whole 30 minutes is going to be a story, but a transition of stories and teaching things in between it is you know, I say I had a $10,000 dream with Beachbody, and that's true. But I always wanted to do more with my life. Like I wanted to be a pro baseball player growing up. I got to play in the Little League World Series. I thought that was going to be my path. A lot of my insecurities came from when I got dropped from the team when I was a high school kid. And that's a long story short, where I just quit. But then I was like, I'm going to be a rock star musician. And so I started playing guitar. But now that I'm 40 years old, almost 41, I look back at that. I really just wanted to do something with my life where I was on some platform, some stage where I could inspire people. That's what I felt about professional baseball players as a kid. As I became a musician, that's what I felt about people that I saw on stages, like at Warped Tour and everything. And so it's pretty cool to look back at that. But I remember sitting at my job, working 12 hours a day. And I remember we had these notepads where I'd take the service orders on, and I would write out what I wanted my life to look like. Like I wrote goals out, and this is far before becoming a coach. And I remember writing, I want to have $1 million in the bank, and I want to retire at 50 and have my house paid off. Those were the 3 main ones. And then from 50 on, I can just like live my best life. Like I'll work my ass off until 50, because I was already working 12-hour days. And I worked, like I moved pipe as a kid in high school at 3:30 in the morning. As I went through college, I worked and commuted. So like I can work, but I was like, I'm only going to work till 50, and I'm going to achieve this goal and this dream. And then I can relax and enjoy my life at 50. So I had some sort of dream going on. So as I start P90X, like I shared with you guys, I find out about coaching. I'm kind of running a few businesses on the side. And by businesses, I mean searching Craigslist for awesome deals on Xboxes, Wii's, PlayStations, laptops. And I would buy them, I would clean them up, fix them up, and then I would resell them. So I had a little bank account, and anytime I'd make little commissions, $20 here, $40 there, I would be doing that. As I worked at the steel factory, I started at the bottom as a sweeper. I was running the service department when I left, but I swept, I ran all the CNC laser machines that cut the metal. I programmed them. So then I was also coming a little early, working through my lunch and building custom signs for people. for their home, where it would be like trees and like a deer and their last name. And I was marketing them on Craigslist. I had a Facebook like page. So I'm doing all these marketing and business things, and no one taught me how to do that. I was just doing it, right? I wanted to accomplish things and I was doing it. And they were all trying to accomplish this goal of my big dream of $1 million in the bank, retire at 50. And so I'm working. Long story short, I am curious because I'm following Beachbody coaches and I see exciting trips. I see all these things and I'm like, that looks nice, right? But on the other end, I didn't like my first experience. So I'm Google searching. I'm on YouTube and Google, at work in my office, like, what does a Beachbody coach do? Who are the successful Beachbody coaches? I'm searching, and I watched Lindsay Matway's video, and she just does a 360 transformation video of her results with P90X. Shares she lost like 30 pounds, and then she talks and shares that her daughter London was born prematurely, and she incurred a few $100,000 worth of debt. And because she was a coach, she was able to.
Scotty, I think, is it just me?
I can hear. Can you guys hear me?
No, you're static. I didn't know if it was just me because I'm in the mountain, but
no, it must be me. I see some people nodding. Is it cutting out?
Yes.
Let me try to hook to my hotspot for some reason. Let's see if that works better. We don't want the splotchy. You can never understand anything.
I know. I'm also interested in who he found.
Let me fix it.
We all want to know who it was. The suspense.
You guys are like stuck and you don't know who it is. Okay. Okay. Let me see if this will hook to my hotspot real quick. Okay. Hold tight. This is your chance to think up some questions. Okay. We should be good now. I'm on my hotspot. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
What was the suspense? Where did I leave you guys hanging?
Who did you see?
Oh, on YouTube?
No, like the coach that you saw, that you followed.
Oh, so I was searching on YouTube and Google, like, who are the top coaches? And I watched a video of Lindsay Matway. And it was a transformation video. She shared how she lost 30 pounds, and she shared that she was able to, her daughter London was born prematurely, and she incurred a few $100,000 worth of debt. And she had her own business bartending, and she shared how she didn't share numbers or anything. She just shared, I was able to leave bartending and be at home helping people with these programs. And I was slowly started being able to pay off this debt. And I remember it being like kind of like a light bulb, like, I'm working 12-hour days because we got into a house that was far too expensive for us as newlyweds. And I have to work 12-hour days. And I worked those 12-hour days, and Gabby worked nights for those 5 years. So in her description video, she had her email. I emailed her, and an important thing, and this is going to be one of the things I'm going to teach you about my PS coaches and myself, is she asked me if I could do a phone call. And so I did a phone call with her, and she didn't try to recruit me, invite me to webinars, anything. Like, she asked me some hard and good questions. And I think this is important for each of us to know. She asked me, like, if this is what I went to school, what I was doing is what I went to school for, if I enjoyed what I was doing. Like, she asked me the hard questions, like, where every one of them was like, nope, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not happy. So she asked me all those questions. At the end, she simply invited me, like, I think you would be a great coach. Like, you should do this with us. And I told her, thanks for the invite and for all the information, but it's going to be like, no, I'll just keep helping people that are asking me about it. But if anybody comes to me, I'll send them your way. That's kind of the idea that I took. And we left that conversation. I continued to help people. People were asking me. I was excited about it. I created a group on Facebook. I'm already selling stuff with, signed and stuff. So I created a book, our group, and anybody that had questions for me about the programs or nutrition or workouts, I just added them to my Facebook group and told them to do P90X or Insanity. And we just all had fun doing the programs and challenging each other. And there's no agenda to it. I remember one time on 9/11, like all of us in the group, there was like 50 of us. I'm not even a coach. We all did on 911 push-ups or sit-ups. Like we just did fun things together, fitness related, and worked on ourselves. And so I'm not a coach. I'm continuing along. And then April 11th of 2011 comes. So this is 11 years and 3 days ago, where I have this habit. I remember I go to work at 5 a.m. We have a mailbox at the end of our cul-de-sac. I would pick up the mail like once every 2 weeks. Now I do it like once a month. I'm so bad at it. But I just pick up the mail once a week or once every other week. And I would do the bills because remember I get home from work and I have 2 little kids by myself. My wife's at work. So like I would throw the junk mail away, sort the mail. On my lunch break, I would do my spreadsheet of all my bills and I would like write the checks there and I would just drop them in the work mailbox. And that day it was like the hospital bill. I know Canadians have a little bit different healthcare than us, but even with my insurance, I had like the hospital bill, the doctor bill, the anesthesiologist for the epidural. And it came to like after my insurance, like $3,200, and we're already paycheck to paycheck. So I just remember sitting in my cubicle that morning before work, and I felt like the whole room was spinning around me. Like I felt like there was this weight on my shoulders, like crushing me into my seat. I don't know if any of you guys have ever felt like that before, but I just felt like everything was spinning, like I had no control. And like, it was just in that moment where I'm like, you should be a coach. Like, I just like, it was like, I heard it, like I felt it. You should just be a coach. Like, because I was thinking like, do I have to go back to school? I'm a college dropout, by the way. I'm like, do I have to go back to school and get a degree, get a higher paying job? Does my wife need to be home at nights? And I can work 2 full-time jobs that pay more? Like all those questions, right? Trying to figure out what I need to do. And it was like, you should be a coach, and you can just make Beachbody does not guarantee any level of income, success or income. But I just sat there and was thinking like, I could make extra income without like being away from the house more than I already am, because I'm already gone 12 hours a day. And now we have 3 little girls. They're 4, 2, and 6 weeks old at this time. And I'm just like, okay, I need to be a coach. And show my age with coaching, I faxed in my coach application and became a coach officially with Lindsay Matway. So we did our Getting Started Right call, and this is where we're really leading into what do you do to help your coaches drive Success Club or drive Success Club inside your team with your coaches. I do a lot of what Lindsay Matway did with me. Our Getting Started Right call, she just answered questions I had, asked me about my goals, which was I need to make $10,000. And the important thing that she said is she said, I can't promise you $10,000, but I promise that your income will be a direct reflection of the number of lives that you change. And so I'm like, okay, but like, I'm a numbers guy. Remember, I have my $1 million dream written out and how to pay off my mortgage. I'm like, how many lives equals $10,000? So it forced me to really start understanding and looking at the compensation plan, commissions, how everything works. You know, I'm already making signs. I know this many hours and this much time to run the machine and this much time for the metal, and, you know, sell the sign for this much. I make an $18 commission or whatever it was. So I'm like, I'm already in that mindset. So I think about that, but with the core root of my income will be a direct reflection of how many lives that I change. And so I tell her like, how many lives equals that? Like, what do you think? How many people do I need to help? And she said, you need to hit Success Club 10 every single month. And I'm pretty sure she didn't make promise. She's like, you know, I got to that amount and this is what I did. I hit Success Club 10 every single month. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that. So teaching moment while we're in the story is she set the expectation for me. There was no like, let's try to hit Success Club 5, or it might be hard to hit 5 your first month. So let's work really hard, try to get 5. If you don't, let's hit it next month. It was like, you will hit Success Club 10 every single month. And I was like, and also, what was that trip you were on a cruise with my hero, Tony Horton. Like, how do I do that? And she's like, oh, that's a Success Club trip. And at the time it was, you had to hit Success Club 9 months out of 12 and you could go. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. And I'm like, oh shoot, April, May. I'm like, I got to hit Success Club this month. And it's April 11th already when I sign up. So right out the gate, I just had to get to work. It wasn't like study the plan, watch a ton of training videos. It was like, I need to talk to people. The only way I could sell signs was talk to people. The only way I could sell things on Craigslist was look for deals, call the people, go pick up and sell and fix it and sell it to somebody else, right? I couldn't just sit around and wait for it to happen. So I got to work with that. That year we had Success Club 10 every single month. I'm not going to share specific numbers because compliance has been all over me. I spent 3 hours yesterday taking blog posts down and YouTube videos for our protection. But within 14 months, my wife and I both left our full-time jobs. And so since June of 2012, I've been now a full-time dad and a part-time Beachbody coach is what we'll call it. And it's been an absolute blessing. And it took a ton of hard work. When I say ton of hard work, I want you guys to like, because I hear excuses all the time. Like I have this going on and oh, this and that. And I commute this much. Like I did P90X at 3:30, was at work at 5, home at 5:30 to 3 little girls, ages 4, 2, and 6 weeks old by myself after 12 hours in a factory running a department, putting them to bed at 8 and then 8:30 to midnight, like for a year straight on very little sleep to make that happen. So it's not like it just happened. There was massive amounts of effort and sacrifices, including not hanging out with my friends, not playing video games, quitting my softball team, which brought me a huge amount of joy because I wanted to be a pro baseball player. So all of those things, right? I had to make a ton of sacrifices to make that happen. So that's long story short. We've now hit Success Club 10 for 132 consecutive months without ever missing it. So one thing that I want to share with you guys is I remember going to my first summit and I got to share my story on the summit stage, which was awesome and extremely frightening. Like I had to go number 2 so many times. I know that's a lot of info, but I was so scared that everything was wrong with me. I sat out in the jacuzzi for like the first 2 days before I had to speak, like just in the jets, like trying to remember what I was going to say. And I don't remember anything about summit other than being behind the stage and walking out. That's all I remember. I don't remember what I said. I know it's on video, but that's how frightened I was to speak in front of people because I'm naturally very introverted. Even still today, I'm super introverted. But I remember, and just to show you how much I was not in it, like I was supposed to be on stage for Success Club 10 All-Star because I hit Success Club 10 for 12 months. And someone came and grabbed me out of the audience and pulled me back there. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? They're like, you're supposed to be in the back for the recognition. And this is a really powerful moment that I want to share with you guys is there was a line back there and it was like Janelle Summers, Melissa McAllister, Josh Spencer, Lindsay Matway. And there was like 8 people and me. And I was like, where's everybody at? And they're like, this is it. This is all the people that hit Success Club 10 for 12, that did it for 12 months in a row. And I remember like, I get the chills because I remember like looking at Lindsay, I'm like, if you would have told me there would only be 8 people in an entire company of 50,000 to 100,000 coaches, only 8 people would do it, I would have never believed that was possible for me. Like I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have thought it was possible for an ex-cocaine alcoholic addict, college dropout to be able to do something like that. It wouldn't have been possible for me. I wouldn't have believed it. So a huge thing for you guys and for me to help drive Success Club or success inside of our teams is instilling that belief. First, you have to instill it inside of yourself, but you have to instill that inside of other people. And it's not going to be like tons of training videos. It's like one-on-one helping them to believe what's possible for them. And I could tell a ton of other stories, but because of the time, I want to go through a couple of specific examples with my coaches and let you guys ask me a couple questions. But, you know, Karina was so kind to share a few things about at Summit when she met me that year. Without being afraid, I spoke at the men's summit, the Latino La Cumbre, and I spoke at the couples event. The UK event, the UK summit. So I spoke 3 different times at that summit. But guys, that year, between April and the beginning of December, I recruited 3 to 5 coaches a month, and not one of those coaches had one single Success Club point. Okay, so you see this successful person teaching on stage. My topic was not how to drive Success Club inside of your team. That would have been even harder at that moment. But, you know, I taught different subjects at that time. But like I was doing all the things. Like we hit Elite 6 years in a row, and then we missed it. And then we missed it again. And then we hit Premier. And then we're in this year where it's like not looking good. I remember my corporate mentor at the time was Keyshawn Graves, and she's like, Scotty, she's like, how are you looking for Elite? It's like the last week of November. And I'm like, it is not looking good. It's not like, it's like nearly impossible. I would literally have to sign like 25 coaches this month. Every single one of them hit their first Success Club point in their first month and hit Success Club for me to have the points for us to be an elite team. And she's like, what happened? And I'm like, well, like I'm recruiting coaches. I'm hitting Success Club 10. I'm like, I'm running my team calls. And she's like, how are your getting started right calls going? And I'm like, we're doing those. Like they're the same as they've always been pretty much. And I was like, not one coach in 9 months has hit one single Success Club point. And for me, like, I don't want to say embarrassing because it's not a good word to use, but I'm like, okay, what's wrong with me here? Like I used to have it, now I don't, or what, right? So my mindset's starting to falter. And I think the first thing is she did what Lindsay Matway did for me in the beginning. She reminded me of what I was capable of. I was like, I just feel like, because I told her, like, I just feel like I'm not being a good coach. Like I don't have it anymore or something. Like I'm not a good coach or a good leader, I guess I should say. I was like, I started creating this story. I was like, I can kill it at like Success Club. I can market and sell and help people get results, but I'm just not a good mentor anymore. Like I don't know how to help other people. And she's like, first of all, Scotty, stop. She's like, do you think you could have helped mentor 2 other PS coaches to the Legacy Club? Do you think you could have led an elite team to number 4 team in 2013 if you weren't a good leader? And I was like, okay. Maybe I'm a words of affirmation. So maybe I just needed someone to remind me because I'm so much of a introvert, sit in my office, do my bat and then close it down and just get it done. So she reminded me, and then she's like, what makes you feel like that? Why are you saying that? And I was like, she's like, what makes you feel like that? And I said, well, I have this habit. And I even mentioned earlier, I go to my memories and my time hop for ideas of like what posts worked good in the past that I could reinvent for now. And I would see like 20 of us on an excursion on one of the Success Club trips, and like 18 of them are no longer on the team. And then I'd be like, man, if I was not so introverted, if I was a better people person and not so awkward around people, like all these things, like if I was a better friend, because like I'm just like to be by myself. Like if I was better at all those things, maybe they would still be here. So I was, those things were reminding me like all these things, right? I'd be on a national wake call. I'd see a national wake up call of an image of me and one of my elite coaches, and the elite coaches gone on to do something else. I'd be like, oh man, if she was still here, we'd be doing so much better. And so all those things. And she's like, what if you just change the narrative? Like, what if when you see those things, you just change the story, because you're just making up this story that you're not a good coach every time you see that? What if you just change that? And so she's like, what if when you see them, you name 3 things that you're grateful for that you experienced with that person? And so I was like, okay, I'll try it. And it's funny because I know all this stuff from all the books I've read over the years, which are more than 500 books over my 11 years of coaching. But I just started to implement that thing. It's funny how we forget things, right? That we know so clearly, or that we're teaching our coaches and our customers, but we don't do ourselves. And that was me. That was what I was doing. And that month I decided to do that. And it would be like, I would see one of my coaches, one of them specifically was an elite coach. We did a national wake up call together where we each got to tell our story. She left her corporate 6-figure job, and we taught people how to do an invite on the phone, just like Lindsay Matway did to me. We did a script, like she was the client, I was the coach, and we just did like a scripted, this is how you invite somebody. And she went on to be an elite team, have an elite team. Absolutely incredible. And so like when I saw her picture come up, which was just a few days later, because she was in a lot of them, all the recognition posts of Success Club board, all those things that where I would see these people, I was like, oh, I'm so grateful for her that we got to teach people how to invite people the right way and not in a gross scripted way that, and we got to like teach so many people how to do it in a way that was good and that they could grow their business in a way that felt good to them. Because she joined my team during 2012, she played a huge role in us achieving top 10 that year from the efforts that she did. And I just changed that. And I started doing that with every person that I saw. And guys, that month of December, which could technically be a harder month in December, I recruited 9 coaches, which was above average, but 8 of them hit Success Club. 8 of them, not just 1 point. And I had 9 months with no Success Club, not one of them selling 1 package. And I didn't change how I did their getting started right call. I didn't change the new coach welcome email. I didn't change how I welcomed them to the team. I didn't change anything I said in the getting started right call. All I did was change the way my mind was working about myself, my leadership abilities. And it's like a powerful thing to think about. So like I could teach a whole bunch of do X, Y, Z to help your coaches hit this many Success Club points, but it's going to really come down to your own mindset and your own belief. I want to share a couple examples. Just recently, I had 2 new coaches this month that hit Success Club for the first time, and they had Success Club over 10 points. So they're Success Club 10 for the first time. And cool thing is that year, obviously we didn't hit elite because it was like impossible, even with what we did that month. But the next year we went that momentum and that mindset, we got elite back after missing it for 3 years. So that was cool to do as a team. But the thing that I want to share about these 2 new coaches, one of them is 65 years old, one's about my age in her 40s, and they both have Success Club 10 this month. And one of them, I was doing a weekly call with her today. I'm going to share a little bit of what she shared with me, of what, because I asked her today, I was like, what do you believe is helping you to hit Success Club? I mean, because she could technically have all the mindset excuses of like, people my age don't want to work on their health, because she's at the age of retirement technically. And she shared, you got to do the BAT. That was the first thing she said. And my other coach says that as well. She'd been a coach for like 8 months before she hit Success Club, and she had not used the BAT once. And I'll share a little of her story, but Laura said, Laura's her name. She's from Hawaii. She's like, you got to use the BAT. And she says she does best with verbal conversation. So she does everything that I teach her, which is, and by the way, just so if you guys want this for yourselves or your team, I've made a playlist on my YouTube channel a month or 2 ago of, I explain what the BAT is in like 5 minutes. And then there's 12 videos of each of the checkboxes on the BAT explaining how to initiate conversations, how to send an invite, how to do all the things on the back. And they're all 3 to 7 minutes, and then like a closing video. So there's 14 videos. So I made those. She watched the videos, started implementing the things. And she's like, when I do the invite process to initiate conversations, she sends a voice text always to the people. And you can watch the videos on how I specifically do it, on who I reach out to and why. But she just sends a verbal like, hey, thanks for watching my stories and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. Like, you should totally do this with us. Not a salesy thing. Like, there's room for you if you want to come do this with us. And so it's verbal. And if they say, I want more information, she tells them to send her a text and sets up a phone call. And just her ability to connect with someone, hear their doubts, hear their concerns, hear their excitement, whatever it might be, their questions. She then takes that and she's able to more easily convert people, and people can hear her genuine enthusiasm for it. So do the BAT, do verbal conversations are her main things. Okay. The second person is Cynthia. So Cynthia, last year, every year I do with one of my top coaches and some friends that are very successful business owners outside of Beachbody, we do a ski trip. And we went to Vail last year, and we had some people back out due to pregnancy. So we stayed 5 nights, and it's like $1,800 or so for all the foods included. And then they get 5 nights at like a Vail ski resort, like these awesome ski in, ski out places, and like $2 million earners and successful business owners outside of Beachbody. And we go every year. Anyway, these coaches weren't able to go of mine that were pregnant. So I just put my team page, anybody want to come? Here's the thing, because we need to fill that spot. Cynthia came, and like I let her make payments and all, because $1,800 is a lot for a brand new coach and a mama to make, but she made monthly payments to me, and she came on that trip. And one thing about Cynthia is that I want to share as I share this is your coach has to want it themselves. Like I tell my coaches, I will not babysit you and I won't drag you. And like, I mean, I even had the opportunity, that's like my time for me to learn and be around other successful people. I'm not used to that trip being for me to mentor somebody. So me being introverted, I didn't naturally go to Cynthia at that retreat and be like, okay, I'm going to teach you how to do this. No, I was there skiing. I was there, learning about new investment opportunities for vacation rentals, because that's what I do outside of Beachbody. And then one day she's like, Scotty, it's like, she asked me before if we could sit down and I could show her what I do in a day. And I'm like, yeah, well, sure, we could do that. I didn't initiate it. I just want you guys to know that at the trip. Like one day she sat down next to me on the couch and she's like, will you show me what you do? And like, I just pulled out my phone and we were making stories and reels there. So I just showed her how consistent I was at making content. I showed her how you can see who's watching your stories, who's following you, new follows, all that. I showed her what my conversation looks like, how I introduce myself and say, thanks for watching our stories, all that. And she just sat there and she's like, that's it. And then I walked her through everything else, exactly how I do. I went into my team page. I checked everybody's post, like comment and then liked. I went to the bod group. I commented on everybody's stuff. I showed her on my notes some follow-ups. And I did 5 follow-ups. And I was like, this is how I do a follow-up. And it took us like 45 minutes. And I was like, that's basically the whole business activity trap. We just did everything you're supposed to do in a day, other than the workout, creating, like she didn't watch me create the reel. She didn't watch me do the workout, didn't watch me do my personal, but all the other stuff. And she literally just like looked at me with her mouth open. She's like, that's all you do? Like, this is all it is? And I'm like, this is all it is. It's so easy. Like the hard thing is just doing it consistently. And I think that's one of my superpowers, is just being consistent. But that was a huge thing for her. So there's a couple things to learn right there. Is we need to, from what I shared before, what Lindsay did for me, is you need to set the expectation of what you expect them to do. You expect them to do their to-do list every day, which is the BAT. You expect them to hit Success Club 10. You expect them to advance their business. Get them to events. Like, even though that wasn't a Beachbody event, that played just as similar as a role as a Super Saturday might do, or a summit might do. Cynthia came to an event, even though it wasn't Beachbody sponsored, she came to an event. And the cool thing is, coming out of that event, she hit, that was in January, she hit Success Club 5. She hit Success Club 5 again. And then she hit Success Club 14 when she just followed my lead with the gut protocol launch. And she hit Success Club 14. Anyway, this month, about 4 days ago, she's like, Scotty, she's like, it was a voice text to me. She's like, I don't know if last month was a fluke, but I'm only at Success Club 2. And I was like, I got on a voice text. I was like, stop right there. That was not a fluke. Like, you hit Success Club 14 because you did the work every single day. I was like, the minute you start thinking that that was some kind of luck or fluke, you're going to stop doing the work necessary to make it happen again. Like, you're going to do it. The thing that is important is that you have to remain full of belief that you are capable to stay consistent, do the work, reach out to the people, and God or the universe will help you connect with the right people and you will make it happen. So a huge part of that in helping drive Success Club or success inside of your team is making sure that you have communication with your coaches so that you know what they're going through, and so that you can help fix the mindset. Just like I needed my mindset adjusted with Kayshawn, I had to adjust Cynthia, give a slight adjustment to Cynthia's mindset and say, no, that wasn't a fluke. That's not luck that you did that. That's because you did the work. You took, you went all in with the gut protocol. You promoted it. You used the social media tools. You did the invites. You did the conversations. It's not a fluke. It's you doing that. So just making sure that you're working hard on your mindset with people. The other great thing that I want to share about this is, and this was hard for me to jump on board with, and my immediate reaction was, no, I don't have time, is what I said. I have all that time. I'm full-time dad and coach, and my kids are at school all day. So when I say I don't have time, that's an excuse. But one of my top leaders, her name's Brigitte Linford. And she's like, she wanted to do a book club, like read personal development book together, get on a Zoom every week and chat about our takeaways. And so I was first like, nah, I'm like, I didn't tell her that, but I was like, that's like right during my workout time. And I got to get on a video before I work out with people and chat with them. Like, remember, I'm introvert. I'm like, that's not for me. And then I was like, no, you need to grow this year. Like, you need to get better at what you do. So I jumped on board with it. I invited a few of my coaches. I had about 5 coaches come with me. Cynthia was one of them. Laura was one of them. There were 3 others. Okay. So there's 5 of them. All of them read the book. 2 of them came every week to the Zoom. Can you guess which ones they were? They were Cynthia and Laura. They were there every week sharing their takeaways, listening to myself and other Star Diamond coaches, including Brigitte, share our takeaways and how it relates to the business and this and that. And so I believe that played a huge role as well, is just creating some sort of community outside of just like a training call where you get someone that comes on and they just like blast them with more training information, which is great. And the stories are great because it builds belief, but it gave them a place to be accountable to their reading, to their own personal development, but also give them a place to speak up and share their ideas. And then as they shared their ideas, we could help them work through what they were feeling as a group. And so that was pretty powerful. Hard for me to grasp at the beginning because I'm very much antisocial, but that's been huge. Like I want to do a book club every single month. And I look at coaches where I know they need to be stepping up and hitting Success Club according to their goals. And I'm like, they're probably looking at me like, why do you want me to do this dumb book club? Like, why do you want me to come to this? But that's been a huge thing, is getting them to come do that weekly with us, not just a team call, but just coming together like this and chatting. So we've already gone 42 minutes. I was supposed to go like 20 or 30 and do questions. But those are the things I'm doing most to drive that success inside of my team. Just recap, and then I want to open up for questions. I do have until I have like 18 more minutes before I need to go do dinner. But first, you got to believe yourself. Okay. Number 2, you got to set expectations for your coaches and help them build their belief in themselves. You need to get them to events. An event could be like a book club. It could be a team retreat, anything, summit, Super Saturday, whatever it could be. So they could be surrounded by other coaches. And you need to help them know that the success they have is not a fluke. It's a matter of their work. And then make sure that they're actually doing their business activity tracker. Because I was surprised, because I'm just so much just sit down and get to work and do things, that I was like, you're not doing the tracker? Like, you're asking me what I'm supposed to do every day. It's like, I keep talking about it. So it's just like making sure that they're actually doing it, because it really is so simple and easy. Hard thing is making sure that people stay consistent and actually do it. Okay, what questions do we have?
Scotty, have you ever thought about opening up a podcast? I was doing the rehearsal and I'm listening to you, and you just catch my attention. I listened to every word you said. I'm like, this man needs a podcast. Sorry, I know that wasn't the question. But
thank you for saying that. Now I'll probably be on a call one day and be like, one time, Karina, I had on my mind for like 5 years to do a podcast. And then Karina, I even have people say like, I have like 3,000 YouTube videos where I just share. And then I'm like, you should just convert those to a podcast. And I'm like, so thank you. Maybe
I'm telling you, Scotty, one day.
Okay. Well, okay. Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome. Do we have any questions for Scotty? I know the chat has been amazing with you guys, just being able to be a part of this.
I love that.
But who has a question for him? Rachel, do you? No. Okay. I can't see all of y'all, but Trish, you have one. Go ahead.
Okay.
So, like, the fact that you work 12 hours shifts when you started this, like, that's what I do right now. I do 12-hour continentals, and I find, like, it drains me. And I'm, like, I'm nonstop, like, between doing the 12-hour continentals and, like, every spare moment, like, every lunch break is, like, dedicated to my business. I just, like, what type of tips would you have, like, for managing my time so that I don't feel so drained at the end of the day?
Yeah, I think this is like a multi-part answering of this question. A couple of things. So I get what you're feeling. Like, my job drained me. One of the first things, you have to be in love with what you're doing as a coach. You have to love helping people get results with the programs. You have to love seeing a message from your coach saying like, oh my gosh, I earned my first commission, or you have to love that, or else it'll be draining. Like, just adding more work on will be draining. So you have to find your love for it. And everybody has their different gifts and personalities in coaching that makes them successful. Like, I've had super successful coaches become elite they're not good at breathing belief into people, but they're very organized and they have all the tools in place for people and systems. And I am not that. Like me doing a business activity tracker in a playlist was like the most organized thing I've done in 11 years of coaching. So you have to find out what your gift is in coaching, what works best for you. The second thing that I would say is you have to do the very most important activities, which are the IPAs, the income producing activities. And because some days you're going to be, like I say, every night I work 3 hours. Sometimes it was 2, sometimes it was an hour and a half, but I wouldn't go to bed until I was finished with my to-do list. We didn't have the BAT at the time. I called it my list of 10 things I do every day. And I have a YouTube video from when I first started where I showed coaches the 10 things I do every day, which is basically the BAT. It's like the same thing, but I wouldn't go to bed until that was done, no matter how tired I was. And it was like a commitment that I made to myself. It was sort of like, I still had these doubts of like, can I be a good coach? Can I be a good leader? You know, stemmed upon me being a college dropout, being a missionary for a church, and then becoming a cocaine addict rock star. Like, it was like, I don't deserve success. Like I had that type of mindset. So having some of those doubts in the very beginning, it was very important for me to work on that. So the thing that I had to do to make that belief for myself was I had to define for myself what it meant to be a great leader, because I had coaches get to Emerald and then quit. I had coaches that said they were going to do this and that and then not do it. I had clients buy packages and never do anything with it. And so the rule I made for myself was three questions to ask myself. Do I believe 100% in myself that I'm capable of learning anything? Number 2, do I have 100% belief that if somebody follows a meal plan, drinks Shakeology, does their workout, that they will have a transformation and their health will improve? And number 3, do I believe that if someone does the business activity tracker every single day with the right mindset and belief, that they will get results? And if the answer was yes to all 3 of those things, if I had that belief every day and I did my entire BAT, I won't say 10 things so we can all stay on the same page. If I did my BAT with those 3 beliefs in place, then I am a great coach, no matter what anybody else did. If I showed up with belief in myself, the products, and the opportunity, and I did my to-do list, and I could go to bed knowing that I'm a good coach. And then I had to be accountable on the other end. Like if I only did 5 of my 10 things, then I wasn't the best coach that day. I need to make an improvement the next day, right? So I had to hold myself accountable in that sort of way. Or I could do all 10 of the activities, but be complaining about how this coach is doing this and this coach is not doing that. And if I did that, then I'm not 100% either. I need to make improvement. I'm not being the best coach that I can be. So I think that would be important, Trish. Another thing is I talk a lot about the sacrifices I made. The sacrifices that I talk most about were like, I quit playing video games. I quit playing softball. I quit taking hour naps during my lunch break to work an hour like you are right now. And so I made those sacrifices, but one of the biggest sacrifices that I had to make, and everybody needs to be, on board with your own finances and your own spouse and your own support system on this. But about 6 months in, I was so exhausted and drained. Like I found myself outside on my 10-minute break at 9:30 with my hoodie over by the back chain link fence crying. Like, and I'm at a factory with like 100 people. So I'm like making sure nobody sees me. And I'm out there like in tears, like I can't go on. This is too much work. I'm exhausted because I'm working the 12-hour days, taking care of the little girls, working every single night, sleeping very little. And I remember I talked to another mentor. It was a corporate mentor at the time named Alethea. And she walked me through, long story short, this like made me like, it was like a meditation in a way. She talked me through on the phone of like imagining that I was drowning. Like I fell into some dark water and I was drowning and I was sinking down, and the light was like, she was like talking it through like a meditation would on YouTube. And I'm like, yeah, I feel like that. I feel like I'm drowning. And she's like, now imagine a hand breaks through the water and you see a little light come through and it reaches down towards you. She's like, I want you to grab onto that hand. And like I grab on in my mind, like, cause I'm out crying by the fence on my break. And she's like, hold on to that. That's Team Beachbody. She's like, if you hold on to that and you push through, it will change your life. And so I remember doing that. and having that breakthrough, like this is the thing that's going to absolutely change the direction of my life, no matter how hard and difficult it is right now. And then I walked through that shop extra slow on the way back to my office. And I remember looking at everybody in there that I aspired to get to, because I started as a sweeper and I'm running a service department in 5 years. So I know I can be the head engineer or the head of sales or the vice president one day, or the head foreman or the head in any of these things. I know I have the work ethic to do that. But I remember looking at each one of them as I walked through, and I was like, I knew about approximately what they make. We live in a small town, Idaho. I know approximately what they make. I know what I make. And I knew that even if I got to that place, it wouldn't provide me with the lifestyle that I wanted, that I had a dream for. But the bigger thing was they all look 10 to 20 years older than they've been in that steel factory since they were 16, 17, 18 years old. These are guys that are 50 that look like they're 70. And then I remember thinking about Lindsay, and I was like, I want that lifestyle. Like, I want that. And so I had to really look at the perspective, like this is hard in the moment, but like I can continue working 12-hour days here, but this is what I'm going to have at the end. The ladder's pointed on the wrong wall, right? And so I need to make sure that the ladder's pointed towards this wall, towards the lifestyle like Lindsay's living, like Josh Spencer, like all these people that I looked up to. And so I had that realization that day, but it also gave me the courage to do something where I went, because the CEO was my church leader growing up. So he's the one, I worked there in high school. I worked there as I went to college, and he gave me a job when my dental lab career didn't pan out, where there was no more jobs available in my town. So I worked there, worked up to where I was at. I knew with his friendship and my work ethic, I could help be some sort of leader in that company. I went into his office and I said, because my job was actually writing service manuals, but I wrote service manuals, ran the service department, and ran the shipping department, which were all run by other people before. So I was doing 3 people's jobs. I just went into him. I said his name. I was like, hey, I'm getting paid to write service manuals, and for 2 years, I've been doing 2 other people's jobs, and I love working hard. It makes the day go by fast, but I'm too tired to do it any longer. Like, I will show up 8 hours a day like everybody else and just do my job. That's all I can do. And I remember him saying, and this is a sacrifice, right? I'm cutting off my career growth in that company in that moment. After that realization that I had walking through the shop, that's not what I wanted in the end. And he asked me, he's like, are you leaving for that Beachbody thing? And I was like, I don't know, but I am not quitting the Beachbody thing because I absolutely love doing it. And I can't do 12-hour days because I'd already been doing it for 5 years. I can't do 12-hour days and do Beachbody, but I can show up and do a solid 8 hours, give you everything I have for the 8 hours, like I'm supposed to, write the best manuals you'll ever see. And I'll do Beachbody on the side. And we made that transition. And it was awesome because I got to save a little money because I came in at 7. I worked through lunch, leave at 3. I could pick up the kids as Gabby would drive the kids in the car to the hotel. I would drive, toss my keys to her car to her. I would jump in her car with the kids in it, and I would drive off. So we no longer had to put the kids in the babysitter, but I had to, in that moment, make a huge sacrifice, which was cutting off that future career. And that's why I say, don't make any harsh decisions. Be like, oh, Scotty said, quit my career path and go all Beachbody. I was seeing great success already. I absolutely loved what I was doing. The money I was making with Beachbody was more than I was making with the overtime hours. So it just made sense. And I went back to being able to work at night on my Beachbody business, now 8:30 to midnight, and sleep until like 6:30. And it was amazing. So as I got more sleep in that time, and I still loved Beachbody, I had the energy to keep pushing forward. Does that make sense? That's a long answer to your question, Trish.
No, that makes sense. And like, see, like, I love Beachbody. Like, I wouldn't give it up in any way. But I don't want to work factory work for my whole life.
Yeah.
The 12-hour days are long, especially the continentals from nights to days. Like, that transition of the 2 on, 2 off, 3 on, 2 off, like, it's hard. It's rough.
Yeah, it's hard. And I love that you say it's hard. And my advice to you and anybody listening would be like, and this, I know this is from a church like conference once, but he says, choose the harder right. And for me, the harder right for me was choosing the heart of pushing through that pain, making decisions for my life, like to not, because my mind was like, oh, I love Beachbody, because there was two options. It was like, I could slow down on Beachbody and just kind of do what I was doing before. Like on my lunch break, I could hop on, help people in the groups, make some commissions here and there. Like I'm already matched Gabby's income, right? I don't need to be every night from 8:30 to midnight doing this list every single day. Like that was one of my options that was on the table. Like slow down, like don't go so hard, just more casually do it. If people come to you, like great, but you don't have to work so hard at it. But I think there's like defining moments for us. Like I shared, I was out crying on the fence. I walked through the shop and had some perspective. I think the other huge perspective is about the same time, which is why I don't recommend going on little sleep for so long, is I got the man cold. You guys know what that is, right? When your husband gets sick and can't even get out of bed. I got the man cold during this time as well. And I missed work for 3 days, which is already stressful enough. But in that moment, I remember it was the third day of the man cold. And my wife's like, you should maybe get out of bed, shower and get dressed and go pick up the Keena from the school bus. Keena's my oldest. And so I did it, got dressed, showered. We live in a cul-de-sac, so the bus stops at the end. And I walked down there in my full man coldness that I had. And it could have been that I was sick for so long, but I remember the bus pulled up. I remember the sound of the squeaking as the brakes stop and the sound of the air as the door swings open. And I saw these two hands of this 5-year-old girl grab onto the little 2 handrails to step down. And she looked up and saw me. And she had this smile that just like, I don't know if I didn't recognize it before because I'm so busy, but it stopped me in I'm gonna cry again. It stopped me in my tracks. Like I stopped walking and I started crying again. Like it was like twice in 1 week now. I just start crying and it's like, I started thinking like, how many of these moments have I missed? Like I'm with her every night, but it's like 12-hour days. I'm stressed because this factory is crazy. And then I'm like, feed, bathe, wipe diapers, put the team call on the Bluetooth speaker and listen to it while I'm cooking dinner, throw them in bed so I can work. Like I've been missing these, like maybe she does smile like that, but I've been missing it. And I was thinking like, how many of these moments have I missed? But how many will I continue to miss if I don't push through this pain, this hard time that I'm going through, this tiredness, this exhaustion? And so sometimes people ask me like, when did the dream go from $10,000 to bring your wife home to wanting to do this full-time yourself? It wasn't that was the moment where the decision was made, where it was like, I don't want to miss any other moments like that. Like I want to pick her up from the school bus. If she went, like she's 15 now. I drive her to school every single day and pick her up and take her to the gym. She loves doing squats on the rack. So I get to live that dream now, but in that moment, it was like, I don't want to miss any of those moments. Like I want to be fully present for those moments. But it was like another realization of like, so that's where it was like, I want to do this full time, which led to the thing at work where I was like, I need to cut back hours so I can get more sleep. And I'm going to put more effort and energy into Beachbody. But in that moment, it was, I realized like my greater purpose as a coach, where if I could do this, like if I could make that happen, if I could achieve that goal, bring myself home from work and live that life that I dreamed of, being a college dropout, addicted to cocaine, drinking every day, all of the stuff that you could possibly imagine. Like if I could overcome that, and by somebody becoming a friend to me, getting me started on workout DVDs and nutrition, could help start to build my confidence back up. And I could build a business and help other people do that. Like if this person, me, if Scotty could do that, I could teach, mentor, inspire anybody to do it. Like literally anybody. So that is why I'm excited to say yes to Karina on 5:00 p.m. to do this for you guys, is because I want to see, I don't need any more in this life. I still work hard because I love to, and I rest hard too, and I play hard too. But I want to see you do it, Michelle and Dia and Karina and Alexandra and Rachel and you, Karina. So that's all I have to share with you guys today. We're at the hour. And so I think that's it, right?
I loved it. Yes. Thank you so much, Scotty. I appreciate your time. I know you have dinner with the family. Say hi to Gabby and
I
your
sure will.
children for us. And thank you so much. You're a very inspirational coach, which is why I reached out to you. So thank you for saying yes.
Thank you, Karina. Thank you guys for being here and taking time from
You're
your family.
welcome. Have a good night.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.